Hey guys, it's Katie. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below to be notified when I post new videos every other Wednesday. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up because that helps me so much. Today, I just want to talk about something really exciting that I got to do at the beginning of this year, and that was going to Passion Conference in Atlanta, Georgia. If you don't know what Passion is, basically it's a conference with popular bands and speakers that all come in, and it's a bunch of college students all worshiping God together. So I got to hear from some pretty amazing speakers and also just worship alongside about 20,000 other Christians that are in my same walk of life, and I walked away from that pretty impacted. So I just wanted to tell you my thoughts and let you know what I got out of it. Now let's get on into the video. So the very first day that we were at Passion, it's a night session, and I was so tired for the first session because I got up at 3:30 in the morning to go because I was going down to Atlanta with a church from Indiana. So I drove from my house in Ohio to Indiana so that I could drive with them down to Georgia. So it was about 3 hours from my house to the church and then 10 hours from the church to Atlanta. So I did about 13 hours of driving that first day, and I also was going on about 2.5 hours of sleep. I was pretty tired. First session started at 7:30 p.m. and went to like 10:30. And Christine Caine was the one that spoke that night, and her message was really amazing, but we got there pretty late, so we had to sit up at the tippy top of the arena that we were in, and you couldn't see anything up there because it was really dark, so I didn't get to take any notes on what she spoke about, but I just remember that it was really good. Then we were staying at an Airbnb and we got some sleep for the next day, and we also got a lot better seats. And the first speaker for the next day was Jackie Hill Perry. Some things that really stuck out to me from what she talked about was how discouragement can lead you to deception. She was basically just talking about how when we are feeling discouraged about something and we're not going to God with that, how that can affect our confidence in who we are and also our trust in God, and that can open the door for Satan to deceive us. Something that I also liked that she pointed out was that discouragement is a challenge that can push you away from God, but it can also be an opportunity for you to grow in your faith. When you're feeling discouraged about something, you are able to realize a weakness that you have in your faith, and if you go to God in that weakness, His power is perfected in our weakness. Something that I wrote down was that you can choose to let unconfidence expose your distrust in God or proclaim your confidence in God. God never changes. He is the same every single day. The only thing that changes is my trust in Him. So if He was trustworthy when He was parting the Red Sea for the Israelites, and He was trustworthy when He was saving Daniel from the lions, then He's trustworthy for me today. So that was just a challenge to me to make sure that when I am feeling discouraged about something, I go to the only one who can give me confidence and the one that I know that I can trust. And the next speaker on day 2 was Katherine Wolf. And if you don't know who Katherine Wolf is, you need to go Google her right now, because she is like the most joyful person that I've ever seen. She had something happen to her when she was in her 20s where she's paralyzed on one side of her body. The gist of her message was that you can be joyful in the trial. She specifically said that good things and hard things can coexist, and that we don't get to choose what happens to us in our life. The only thing that we get to choose is our perspective of it and how we respond to it. Nothing that happens in our life is an accident. Everything that happens is a part of God's perfect plan for us, but sometimes God's perfect plan for us doesn't align with the plan that we have for ourselves. And so when that happens, we have to learn emotional agility, she said, and we have to pivot, because it can be really challenging to realize that we're not in control of our lives, but what God has for us is so much better than anything that we could even think of for ourselves. So really her point was to rejoice in our sufferings and trust God with every single aspect of your life, and have a positive outlook because his plan is best. The third speaker on day 2 was Jonathan Pokluda, and I had never heard of him before, but after this I was like looking up all of his messages online because he was probably my favorite speaker there. But his message was all about the gospel and sharing the gospel. Specifically, he emphasized that salvation isn't works-based, that you don't get into heaven because you're good enough. That is not how it works. Salvation is a free gift from God. Ephesians 2:8-9 says, "For it is by grace you have been saved through faith. This is not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, and it's not by works, so that no one can boast." It's impossible for us to work our way into heaven. It's a gift that God gives us freely. He also brought up the point that as Christians, we kind of sometimes internalize this thought of like, well, we can't just share the gospel everywhere we go. And he said, why not? And that really hit me because I realized that I'm not sharing the gospel as much as I should. I have the life-changing news that I am not going to hell when I die because Jesus died for me and made a way for me to go to heaven with him. And I know that. And I know that that is also for anybody else who accepts it. So I should be like shouting from the rooftops, sharing with everyone I come into contact about that, because that's amazing truth, and I know the secret to life. That's amazing, and I need to share that with everyone. So that's something that really challenged me to make sure that I am sharing the gospel with people and being really intentional about that, and just that everybody around me knows that I have faith in Jesus and that Jesus changed my life. The fourth speaker on day 2 was Louie Giglio, and he was talking about how we're a reflection of Christ. Human beings are made by God in his image, and our purpose here on earth is to bring him the glory. And he specifically compared us to the moon, and how the moon isn't beautiful without the sun, because the moon by itself can't shine. We wouldn't be able to see it. But because it reflects the sun, we can see the beauty of the moon, and we can also see the beauty of the sun. He was also talking about how the moon doesn't try to reflect the sun. It doesn't have to work really hard to do it. It just puts itself in the right place, and then it just naturally happens. And so he was saying that for us to reflect God and to reflect God's glory, we have to put ourselves in a place to do that. That means that we're submitting to God and we're allowing him to shine through us. On day 3 of Passion, Tim Tebow was the first speaker. This is called Passion Conference. So Tim Tebow spoke on the word passion and what does the word passion mean. When you're passionate about something, you're willing to suffer for it. He also stressed that a lot of Christians are held back by apathy, meaning we love God, but we're not chasing after him, because passion takes work. Passion takes effort. Passion is dying to yourself every single day and getting uncomfortable. Passion is the willingness to suffer for something. Apathy is easy. Apathy is inaction. Revelation 3:15 says, "I know your deeds, that you are neither cold nor hot. I wish you were either one or the other." That verse has always been interesting to me because I would think it would be better to be a lukewarm Christian than to not be a Christian at all. But that's not what God is saying here. God is saying, you're either on fire for me or you're not for me at all. I was really challenged by Tim Tebow's message to make sure that I am passionate about the gospel and that I am willing to suffer for it daily. And then the last speaker of Passion was Sadie Robertson, and her message was so good. You should definitely go check it out if you can. Her message was all about selflessness, because selfishness and the gospel are mutually exclusive. You can't have both. One thing that she said that really stuck out to me was that you can't get the glory and give the glory at the same time. You can't be focused on yourself and also shining the light of Jesus at the same time. She also talked about how it's easier for us to live out the gospel and to give God the glory when we're around other people who are doing the same thing. But then when we go out into the world and the people that we're around aren't putting God first, it becomes a lot more difficult for us to shine our light, because people aren't always receptive to that. People don't always want to hear the gospel. People don't want to hear the truth. but that shouldn't stop us from sharing it. Our faith is supposed to draw attention. If I am talking about Jesus and the difference that he made in my life, and someone comes up and wants to debate me or ask me questions, that shouldn't be something that I'm afraid of. That should be something I'm so excited about, because that's an opportunity for me to share what God has done for me with somebody else. And my purpose as a Christian and as someone who has been saved by the blood of Jesus and his sacrifice, my purpose is to share that same hope and that same joy with other people. I have confidence that when I die, I'm going to heaven and I get to live with God and with Jesus forever and ever, and I've been cleansed of all of my sins. And that's what I want for everyone else too, because God came and he died for everyone. Jesus died on the cross for my sins. He died on the cross for your sins. He died on the cross for my friends, my family, my enemies. He died on the cross for every single person that ever has and ever will live. And all you have to do is just accept that free gift of salvation. Passion was a really cool experience. I'm really glad that I got to go. I learned a lot and I was challenged by a lot. If you ever get the chance to go, you should go. If you can't go for whatever reason, you should definitely look up the messages online, join the live stream, because being there is amazing. Being there to worship with so many people is such an incredible experience, but you can also get so much out of it by just hearing the words of wisdom that these people have to share. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks.